Off the coast of Germany, in the chilly waters of the North Sea, lies a tiny island with a colossal history. Heligoland, a speck of land barely a square mile in size, has played an outsized role in shaping European history. From its early days as a Viking outpost to its strategic importance in world wars, this enigmatic island has been a pawn in the games of empires, a symbol of resistance and a beacon of hope. Heligoland's story begins over 1,000 years ago, when it was first settled by the Frisians, a seafaring people who valued its natural harbor and strategic location. Over the centuries, the island changed hands multiple times, becoming a haven for pirates, a Danish possession, and eventually a British colony. But it was in the 19th and 20th centuries that Heligoland truly came into its own, as it became a focal point of European power struggles. During the Napoleonic Wars, Heligoland was seized by the British, who used it as a base to disrupt French shipping. Later, it became a bargaining chip in the complex web of European diplomacy, eventually being traded to Germany in 1890 in exchange for Zanzibar. This seemingly minor exchange would have far-reaching consequences, as Heligoland became a key military outpost for Germany in both world wars. But Heligoland's story is not just one of war and conquest. It is also a tale of resilience and identity. The island's inhabitants, known as Heligolanders, have fiercely defended their unique culture and way of life, even in the face of forced evacuations and near total destruction during World War II. Today, Heligoland is a peaceful haven, a testament to the enduring spirit of its people and the island's remarkable journey through history. Join us as we explore the fascinating story of Heligoland, a tiny island that has shaped the course of European history in ways few could have imagined. Heligoland's history stretches back over 1,000 years, to a time when the North Sea was a highway for Vikings and pirates. The island's strategic location and natural harbor made it an ideal outpost for seafaring peoples, and its rugged cliffs provided a natural defense against invaders. The first known inhabitants of Heligoland were the Frisians, a Germanic tribe known for their seafaring skills. They established a small settlement on the island, using it as a base for fishing and trade. Over time, Heligoland became a key stopover for Viking raiders, who used it as a staging point for their expeditions into Europe. The island's name, Heligoland, is thought to derive from the Old Norse words for Holy Land, reflecting its importance as a sacred site for the Vikings. By the Middle Ages, Heligoland had become a haven for pirates. Its remote location in treacherous waters made it an ideal hideout for those looking to evade capture. The island's reputation as a pirate stronghold grew, and it became a thorn in the side of European powers trying to control the North Sea trade routes. In the 17th century, Heligoland came under Danish control. The Danes recognized the island's strategic value and fortified it, using it as a base to protect their shipping interests. But Heligoland's days as a Danish possession were numbered. In 1807, during the Napoleonic Wars, the British seized the island, recognizing its potential as a naval base. The British occupation marked the beginning of a new chapter in Heligoland's history. The island became a hub of British naval activity, used to disrupt French shipping and support anti-Napoleonic forces. But even as Heligoland's strategic importance grew, its people remained fiercely independent, clinging to their unique culture and way of life. Heligoland's early history is a testament to its resilience and adaptability. From its days as a Viking outpost to its time as a pirate haven, the island has always been a place of refuge and resistance. But its greatest challenges and its most dramatic transformations were yet to come. In 1807, during the height of the Napoleonic Wars, Heligoland became a British possession. The island's strategic location in the North Sea made it an invaluable asset for the British, who used it as a base to disrupt French shipping and support their European allies. The British quickly set about fortifying the island, building barracks, gun emplacements, and a lighthouse. Heligoland became a hub of British naval activity, with ships coming and going at all hours. The island's natural harbor provided a safe haven for British vessels, while its cliffs offered a commanding view of the surrounding waters. But the British occupation was not without its challenges. The island's small size and remote location made it difficult to supply, and the harsh North Sea weather took its toll on both the soldiers and the local population. Despite these difficulties, The British held on to Heligoland for nearly a century, using it as a key outpost in their efforts to contain Napoleon's expansion. The end of the Napoleonic Wars did not diminish Heligoland's strategic importance. As European powers jockeyed for influence in the 19th century, the island became a pawn in the complex game of diplomacy. In 1890, Britain traded Heligoland to Germany in exchange for Zanzibar, a move that had far-reaching consequences for both nations. For the Heligolanders, the British occupation was a time of both opportunity and hardship. The island's economy boomed as British money flowed in, but the local population also had to contend with the presence of foreign soldiers and the constant threat of war. Despite these challenges, the Heligolanders remained fiercely independent, clinging to their unique culture and way of life. The British occupation of Heligoland marked a turning point in the island's history. It transformed Heligoland from a remote outpost into a key strategic asset, setting the stage for its role in the tumultuous events of the 20th century. But as the island changed hands once again, its people faced an uncertain future. In 1890, Heligoland became the centerpiece of one of the most unusual diplomatic exchanges in history. The Heligoland-Zanzibar Treaty, signed between Britain and Germany, saw the tiny North Sea island traded for the African archipelago of Zanzibar. This seemingly minor exchange would have far-reaching consequences for both nations and for the course of European history. For Britain, the treaty was a pragmatic move. Zanzibar, with a strategic location off the coast of East Africa, was seen as a more valuable asset than Heligoland. By trading the island, Britain hoped to strengthen its position in Africa and secure Germany's support in its efforts to contain French and Russian influence. For Germany, the acquisition of Heligoland was a strategic coup. The island's location in the North Sea made it an ideal base for the German Navy, which was rapidly expanding under Kaiser Wilhelm II. Heligoland became a key part of Germany's plans to challenge British naval dominance and establish itself as a global power. But the treaty was not without its critics. Many in Britain saw the exchange as a betrayal, arguing that Heligoland's strategic value far outweighed that of Zanzibar. In Germany, the acquisition of Heligoland was celebrated as a triumph, but it also raised questions about the country's colonial ambitions and its relationship with Britain. For the Heligolanders, the treaty marked the beginning of a new era. After nearly a century of British rule, the island was now part of Germany. The Heligolanders, who had always been fiercely independent, now had to adapt to a new set of rulers and a new way of life. The Heligoland-Zanzibar Treaty was a turning point in the island's history. It transformed Heligoland from a remote outpost into a key strategic asset, setting the stage for its role in the tumultuous events of the 20th century. But as the island changed hands once again, its people faced an uncertain future. After the Heligoland-Zanzibar Treaty of 1890, Heligoland became a key part of Germany's naval strategy. The island's strategic location in the North Sea made it an ideal base for the rapidly expanding German Navy, which sought to challenge British dominance on the high seas. Under German rule, Heligoland was transformed into a heavily fortified naval fortress, complete with gun emplacements, submarine pens, and a network of underground tunnels. The German military invested heavily in Heligoland, recognizing its potential as a first line of defense against British naval incursions. The island's cliffs were reinforced with concrete bunkers, and its harbor was expanded to accommodate larger warships. By the early 20th century, Heligoland had become one of the most heavily fortified places in Europe, a symbol of Germany's growing military ambitions. But the island's transformation into a naval fortress came at a cost. The Heligolanders, who had lived on the island for generations, found their way of life increasingly disrupted by the presence of soldiers and military installations. Many were forced to relocate to the mainland, while those who remained had to adapt to the realities of life in a militarized zone. Despite these challenges, the Heligolanders remained fiercely proud of their island and its unique culture. They continued to speak their own dialect, practice their traditional customs, and maintain their close-knit community. But as tensions in Europe escalated, Heligoland's role as a military outpost would soon thrust it into the center of a global conflict. When World War I broke out in 1914, Heligoland found itself on the front lines of the conflict. The island's strategic location made it a key target for the British Navy, which sought to neutralize Germany's North Sea defenses. The resulting battles around Heligoland would become some of the most intense of the war, with both sides suffering heavy losses. The first major engagement, the Battle of Heligoland in 1914, saw British forces launch a surprise attack on German patrols near the island. The battle was a tactical victory for the British, but also highlighted the dangers of operating in the heavily defended waters around Heligoland. Over the course of the war, the island became a symbol of German resistance, with its fortifications holding firm against repeated British assaults. For the Heligolanders, the war was a time of great hardship. The island's civilian population was evacuated, and those who remained were subjected to constant bombardment and shortages of food and supplies. Despite these challenges, the Heligolanders remained resilient, drawing strength from their deep connection to the island and its history. By the end of the war, Heligoland had been severely damaged, but its fortifications remained largely intact. The Treaty of Versailles, which ended the war, required Germany to demilitarize the island, but its strategic importance would soon become apparent once again. Heligoland's role in World War I was a testament to its enduring significance as a military outpost. But as the world moved closer to another global conflict, the island would once again find itself at the center of history. In the years following World War I, Heligoland became a symbol of resistance and resilience. The island's civilian population, which had been evacuated during the war, returned to find their homes and livelihoods in ruins. But despite the devastation, the Heligolanders were determined to rebuild their community and reclaim their way of life. Under the terms of the Treaty of Versailles, Heligoland was demilitarized and its fortifications were dismantled. The island's strategic importance was temporarily diminished, but its people remained fiercely proud of their heritage. They worked tirelessly to restore their homes, repair their fishing boats, and revive their traditional customs. During this period, Heligoland also became a focal point for German nationalism. The island's return to civilian rule was celebrated as a victory over the harsh terms of the Treaty of Versailles, and it became a symbol of Germany's determination to regain its place on the world stage. But as the 1930s unfolded, Heligoland's peaceful existence was once again threatened. The rise of the Nazi regime brought with it a renewed focus on military expansion, and the island's strategic location made it a key part of Hitler's plans for European domination. For the Heligolanders, the interwar years were a time of both hope and uncertainty. They had rebuilt their lives and their community, but the specter of another war loomed large. As the world moved closer to conflict, Heligoland would once again find itself at the center of history. During World War II, Heligoland became a target of relentless Allied bombing campaigns. The island's strategic location and military installations made it a key objective for British and American forces, who sought to neutralize its defenses and disrupt German naval operations. The bombing of Heligoland began in earnest in 1944, as Allied forces stepped up their efforts to weaken Germany's war machine. The island's fortifications, which had been rebuilt and expanded under the Nazi regime, were subjected to wave after wave of aerial attacks. By the end of the war, Heligoland had been reduced to a smoldering ruin, with much of its infrastructure destroyed and its landscape scarred by craters. For the Heligolanders, the war was a time of unimaginable hardship. The island's civilian population was once again evacuated, and those who remained were subjected to constant bombardment and shortages of food and supplies. Despite these challenges, the Heligolanders remained resilient, drawing strength from their deep connection to the island and its history. The final blow came in April 1945, when the British Royal Air Force launched Operation Big Bang, one of the largest non-nuclear explosions in history. The blast, which used over 6,000 tons of explosives, was intended to destroy Heligoland's fortifications once and for all. The island was left uninhabitable, a stark reminder of the devastation of war. By the end of World War II, Heligoland was a shadow of its former self. Its people were scattered, its landscape was in ruins, and its future was uncertain. But even in the face of such devastation, the spirit of the Heligolanders remained unbroken. After World War II, Heligoland became a symbol of the struggle for survival and self-determination. The island, which had been left uninhabitable by Allied bombing, was placed under British control and used as a bombing range for military exercises. For the Heligolanders, who had been forcibly evacuated, this was a bitter blow. But the Heligolanders were not willing to give up on their island. In the years following the war, they launched a determined campaign to reclaim Heligoland and restore it to its former glory. They organized protests, lobbied governments, and raised awareness of their plight, drawing support from across Germany and beyond. Their efforts finally paid off in 1952, when Heligoland was returned to German control. The island's civilian population was allowed to return, and the process of rebuilding began. It was a monumental task, but the Heligolanders approached it with the same resilience and determination that had defined their history. Over the following decades, Heligoland was transformed once again. The island fortifications were dismantled, its landscape was restored, and its economy was revitalized. Today, Heligoland is a thriving community and a popular tourist destination, a testament to the enduring spirit of its people. Heligoland's story is one of resilience, resistance, and renewal. From its early days as a Viking outpost to its role in shaping European history, this tiny island has endured wars, occupations, and near total destruction. But through it all, the spirit of the Heligolanders has remained unbroken. Today, Heligoland is a peaceful haven, a place where history and nature coexist in harmony. Its rugged cliffs, pristine beaches, and unique culture attract visitors from around the world, while its people continue to celebrate their heritage and way of life. But Heligoland's legacy extends far beyond its shores. It is a reminder of the enduring power of human resilience and the importance of preserving our shared history. As we look to the future, Heligoland stands as a symbol of hope and determination, a testament to the indomitable spirit of its people. Join us as we celebrate the remarkable story of Heligoland, a tiny island that has shaped the course of European history and continues to inspire us today.